Welcome everyone for our third live this week, and so I'm just going to wait so folks can join in. So I'm continuing the series. This is Rekha Kurup, and hi Deepa, welcome. And so continuing the series of She Speaks Her Truth, and on the theme of embodying the expression of no. We are continuing with personal sharings, personal stories, life experiences of women, and what does their relationship with no. And so today I will be having conversation with two amazing women, Malini Misra Bhattacharya and Shriya Swaminathan, and both of them are artists in different field. Malini is a awesome writer, she's a singer, and she's also has her own live program that she does on Facebook called The Creative Process, where she interviews people, leaders, entrepreneurs, artists of their own creative process. And then Shriya, she is a potter, an amazing artist. She works with clay in different capacities, and I'm very excited to host both of them. And and I have to say that that every conversation is different, and everyone's experience of no is different. So this is again going to be a new fresh conversation that we are going to have, and our questions are going to be the same that I have asked before. And this is an invitation to you to also explore your own journey with no. How do you hone, no in your life? Are you able to claim your boundaries? And what is your relationship with no? And so this, even though these conversations are very specific to women's relationship with no, I know that no is a very important part of our existence as human in this world, and to claim our own identity, our own space, our own authority, our own autonomy in this world. It is very important to be clear about our own boundaries, what I'm okay with, what I'm not okay with. And to do that, it is important to be able to access your own no, to know what is okay for me and can I voice it, and what happens when we do that. So that's our exploration today. So I am seeing if Shriya and Malini are here. I don't know. So if Shriya and Malini, if you're watching, please maybe say hi in the comment. I see Deeps has joined. So if you if you type something on the comment, I will know that you are here. And so as we wait, I wanted to share something more about no. What is, I wrote, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday, about a mature no. As we are, Malini is here. Hey Malini, there you are. So, Shriya is also here. So great. So I'm going to find both of you. There's Malini and there is Shriya. So I'm going to send you an invitation. Accept what I sent. That's, let's see. Okay. Hey.
Hi.
Hey, Malini.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm just going to rotate
And
my
there's
camera
Shriya.
around.
Shriya is actually in the car.
I'm in the car
She's
traveling back
joining us
home.
from.
Sorry for the
So are you in
lighting.
Bangalore?
No, in Coimbatore.
Or
So,
Coimbatore, so you are in Coimbatore,
yeah.
right? Yeah, great. So yeah, wonderful to have you
Thank you so
and
much.
Malini here. I don't know, did you guys Did you guys hear me introduce both of you and stuff like that?
Yeah,
I missed the first
I
bit.
heard.
You. So maybe as I invite you if there's anything more that you would like to add or you would like to say in your introduction, and that way then we can begin.
No, I was very happy with my introduction. It was perfect. I heard,
You were happy.
yeah, I heard the place where you introduced me with the creative process, which was, I think,
Yeah.
yeah, it was important for me to say this. Somehow I missed saying this in my introduction. So that was a good intro for me. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Malini.
you, Rick.
Yeah.
I'm sure Rekha would have done the right introductions for me, so I will
I
let you.
introduced you as the potter, and I said that you do amazing stuff with. You give
Thank,
amazing expressions, and you work phenomenally with clay. So that's how I. So you
thank
can
you.
definitely add more. I'm sure there's
No, no,
a
no.
zillion more things
I
that
think that's about it. I mean, I
that you
enjoy working with
you
clay,
you you're
and yeah, so anything
okay.
creative.
Great. So then we will get. So just wanted to just create that agreement that you are, your personal story as you are, it's fully honored and acknowledged here. So you don't have to, and I hope that you share you feel safe enough to share. And where you don't, please see what you need to share, so it's because every conversation is very unique and I want to voice that, so yeah, so both of you have recorded the no video, the 1 minute no.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start there. How was your experience of doing that? Did it open up something for you? Did it bring up something for you? And what were your reflections? Where did your mind go? And what emotions came up for you as you did that? So that's where I will start, and I'm sure it navigates us through all the other questions when we start here. So any one of you can begin, and then the other person can share.
Malini, do you want to go first?
No, you could go first. You could go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I recorded the no video, actually I felt very confident in saying no. But what I'm realizing in real life, I actually find it difficult to say no. Because it's not very linear. That no has so many, different connotations to it. And how another person takes the no is also a different thing altogether. So in relationships, it does make a lot of, it's not very easy.
Yeah.
So I find it difficult to say no, and sometimes now recently as I'm working on my boundaries, it's getting a little bit more easier, but still I have to work on it. That's what I'm realizing.
Yeah. Thank you, Shriya. And I think that's something we have also explored before. That I think saying no is never an easy process.
It is not.
It is not. And
I think it's a lot to do with our own inner self. I mean, there's a lot of the inner critique in us, or in me, doesn't let me, say no that easily.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing up the inner critique. We'll go there also. So So Malini, how was your experience?
Yeah. So initially, when this first video came up, the first initiation came up, that record a video, it felt, and I think I spoke about this to my mother. And her first response was extremely intuitive. She said, I think we need it. I need it. You need it. And this is what we spoke. And then I sat to record it. And it felt very unnatural. It felt fake. It felt phony. And it was like, what am I doing? And I sat and reflected on it for a long time, and I left it there and came back the next day with a stronger resolve. And as I was saying, I was recording the no. My no became a very from a very light-hearted no to a very strong will. No, no, you
Yeah.
cannot do that. No. And often, as I was saying no, this came to me that, saying yes to myself and saying no to others has been a journey. Most often,
Yeah.
it is like saying yes to others and internally saying, I
Yeah.
don't know, I'm not comfortable. So, this whole saying
Yeah.
no, it was really a journey because I had no idea. I think for a long time, I didn't even have a no. I didn't even know that I could say a no.
Yeah.
I knew somewhere that as children, when we speak to children, interact with children, it's always they're saying, no, you want this? No. You want to play this? No.
Yeah.
No. Arre, kabhi to haan bol lo, there is sometimes say yes, but as adults, yes, that was my experience, that my journey towards saying no is still on.
Yeah.
It's not yet over.
Yeah.
I still have to learn to draw my boundaries, saying no to people in many ways, not only in the, you cannot touch me this way or that way, but in my, even as a person, as an emotional space that I hold. You cannot walk
Yeah.
over me, you cannot talk over me, you cannot make me feel small.
Yeah.
Because I don't
Right.
do that. So you also, I mean, whoever it is, you also respect that. So for me, this drawing, this whole thing was I realized, as I said this in the video, a strong no. I was constantly, these things were coming to me. Where all I need
Yeah.
to stand
That's
up.
yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Malini. It's so many things that you said. They're so reflective. I feel for everyone. One is that I think both of you said that it's the journey. Every day our no and our boundaries, we have to keep renewing them. It's not like today I said the no,
Yeah,
and to the same person, another no might feel a completely different situation scenario,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And also what you said, Malini, that how in life we say yes to everyone and we say no to our own
That is
self.
so
yeah,
true.
And that is like that is so true. I mean, we have our inner critique. I think you brought that word also, Shriya, that keeps saying no inside to us, and how we and to find our no's, to drawing our boundary. So yeah, so this is a great start. I think I'm seeing so many more topics that we can say. And so my next question would be is, how does this, our ability even to say no, that's the second question is about, do we see in our life, women saying no? Because where do we get to learn that? So where did you, like, both of you, I think kind of both of you said that, that was a journey. And so were you able to see as you're growing up, women around you say no? Is that a common sight? Malini is like shaking her head.
I wish we would
So
have seen it more. Sorry, I would have
yeah,
seen it more. I
I
wish I would have seen,
yeah,
especially I think my source, it's always the source where you learn it from. Your source relationship is your
yeah,
parents. And
yeah,
I feel, my heart felt for them even as a child, though I didn't understand at that time what exactly this is, but I knew as a person, as a human, as a this little being, I would be like, what is even happening and why isn't she saying anything?
yeah,
Yeah, whoever it is, and especially since we are
right,
from the joint family, I was born
yeah,
into a joint family, and I for significant amount of years we lived as one,
yeah,
a collective.
right. Give me 1 second. I'm just seeing that My signal, I'm not seeing all your
video?
face. So I don't know why that is. The internet. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead,
Yeah.
Malini. You were saying that when you were growing up in a joint
Yeah, a
family.
joint family, I think people are always crossing each other's boundaries. And there is no,
Yeah.
so there was a very weak example set. So nobody would, I mean, also since they are the youngest of their siblings, like my father is the youngest sibling of all, and my mother is the youngest sibling in her house. So they would find it all the more easy and impossible to actually stand up for themselves. And I would, as a child, I kind of was aware of that, and it was not okay with me. But I didn't know what that was. So it took me a very long time to understand that they find it difficult to say no. And it was only in the later years that my mother actually now draws lines, saying she actually grew up. She grew where we were growing up. She was in on her. She has her own journey of saying no to people who she thinks are always, running down her boundaries.
Yeah.
So the
It's
examples
so
set in front, I think at home there was no, uh, uh, there was nothing to look at where, if you're asking, that's what. But outside,
right.
yes, there were teachers, there were colleagues. But that was a more, I would say, a very, there was some
One
sound.
second, sorry.
I
There's
think
a
it's
sound
Shriya's.
there.
Must be. Yeah.
He's getting a call.
Yeah. There's a phone
Yeah,
ringing or
Yeah.
something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say. Outside, I didn't learn this, Rekha. I didn't learn this in my initial years. It was only later that as a person I realized that I can also say no. And maybe I have been saying no from a long time and I was not aware of it, but now I'm more aware.
Yeah. Yeah. And what you're saying is so true, Malini, because many times parents don't realize that kids can feel it.
Yeah,
And they can see where the kids know the no,
yeah,
but when they don't see the adult act on that no, the child also doesn't know what to
yeah,
do. You feel so helpless,
yeah,
and then in your own life situation, to I feel to break that, we have to move through immense guilt. It feels like almost going
Absolutely.
against what you were mirrored. So I
Yes.
think there is this whole thing that you have to learn. There's a whole thing that opens up. I feel the minute women start exploring their
yeah,
no, I think so I think we begin exploring also a relationship with our origin family
yeah,
and what we
yeah,
learned and how to, and many times it is about we have to be something different,
yeah.
and it's not an easy
And
process.
since we were so
Yeah.
many in the family, we were so many people.
Yeah.
Along with the celebrations, I think the very important aspect was missed out, that there are boundaries and you can say no and you can
Yeah.
say yes when you want to. The respect as an individual.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, Shriya,
Yeah.
what's up? What are
What
you
I,
sitting with?
in my
Yeah.
personal experience, every time when I wasn't able to voice my no, I used to feel really, like victimized. So it led to that feeling
Yeah.
of being victimized and drained out. And
Yeah.
so in close relationships, the no was taken, but in relationships as such, I found it difficult, to say no. It was tough, and slowly I'm learning to negotiate my boundaries. So it's a negotiation and renegotiation. It's not a straightforward process at all, and
Right.
so it's like a constant process that I'm going through, and that's what I'm realizing. As a child, it would have been more easier for me to say no. As an adult, um, that inner critic comes in the way every time, judging me, and you shouldn't have said that. How would they feel, and all these questions that keep coming up inside the head. that's the most difficult part to navigate, rather than even saying no to that person. So the number of and our psyche, what I have to answer to my inner the critique. So that is the toughest. And I've seen some strong women who are able to navigate the boundary, and the way they do it, you will not even know it's a no, but you will not cross that. So that's something that I admire, and something that I want to learn. But I also realize that I don't have that capacity right now. Where my no is so strong, but it's also kind of subtle, where people do not cross that. So it's a very it's something that I'm learning on an everyday basis.
Yeah, and would you also feel like this is just my own observation, as a child, our view of the world is very one-dimensional, right?
Yes.
It does not include all the aspects. So then it becomes easy to say no.
Yes.
And you're held in that. But I think as we grow as adults, there's so many nuances, so many threads involved, and also saying no, like how you said, how do you say no, not to the person, but to what is being asked? I always feel like that. It's not, how do I say no to what is being asked of me? I'm not saying no to you. I'm saying no to, I'm saying yes to myself. I'm saying no to what I cannot do. So it's not a no to you. I mean, you may perceive it as a no, that I rejected you, but that's not my doing. I am not rejecting you. It's something I can. So I think sometimes when we,
I'm sorry. I think this
realization,
coming to this realization that this person's no is not to me is a big deal. It is the part of growing up, because a lot of our suffering also comes from the fact that they lack compassion. A lot of our what we go through as people comes from an experience that the world is being unkind. But a part of growing up, I felt, is also when you realize that this is not about me.
Right.
The no is for her, or for him. And not only like respecting the other person's boundaries also is something I learned.
Yeah, very true. Very true. I think when we can claim our no's, then we can also allow others
to claim theirs.
To claim their own no's, right? And and so that was the next question. How does it feel to receive a no? And how have you seen your own no's mature, and what has supported that shift in what has supported that, what has been the process, and because that's where I always feel like, I'll give you an example. Sometimes people will say, oh, in families, when how people will say, she's such a nice girl. She listens to everybody. She's such a nice girl. Then the minute somebody's talking that way about somebody, I will be in my heart, oh my God. The day that person is going to say a no, this nice girl is going to be out of the window.
Absolutely.
And but for her own process. But if we are also very attached to being the nice person, it becomes very difficult. This nice, to be a nice person is such an attraction.
Yes.
It is a difficult mask to wear. It's a mask actually. The being nice, we don't even realize it's a mask. I didn't realize it till a long, till a long time in my life. And it actually, it does more damage than any good. But even after realizing that, it's still difficult to say no sometimes. It's like, I don't know whether it's the nice person or whether it's compassion. I think it's more of compassion now, rather than wanting to be nice. So it's like, as I said, receiving a no.
Do you have any memories, maybe where you said no, and it shifted everything? Were there moments that you had said no, and suddenly you saw a different person in front of you who you had never, you were like, okay, who is that? Were there moments like that? I mean, I have so many moments like that. When I realized, oh my God, I never knew this person before. Now, when they see me, they have an idea of me, which I never was in the first place.
Yeah.
So I think
there are certain instances which has happened that way, but I cannot recollect any. But there are a few. I mean, that is why I think saying no has been very difficult. Because the reaction from the other, maybe I care too much, or somewhere again there might be another mask there, or wanting to please, or there are so many dimensions to it. So it's like constant learning about myself.
Right.
And
Right.
with my children, for example, if I say no, so it leads on to something different. I mean, tantrums start. Whereas if I tell them, this is what can be done, and I'm giving you this time limit to do it, can you please do it? So that gets a different, reaction altogether. But a no, a direct no actually leads to something else, like, tantrums, or not wanting to listen and doing the exact opposite of what I'm asking them to. So sometimes the subtle version of no works, giving them a time limit and, setting boundaries. So this is what you can do within this. And if you do it, that's fine.
Yeah.
So somewhere negotiation starts even with children. That's what I'm realizing.
That's very interesting. I'm sure my mom will have a very different perspective on that, because because I know that I know how my mom and my dad's no's are very different. My dad's no is very much dependent on the other. So I know I can change it. But with my mom, if she says no, there is you as well as a child. I remember, if you have to go out to play or you have to go to somebody's house and she says no, you're not, oh mom please, or you're not going on that trip at all. It's done. It's stopped there. But with my dad, I can, so I don't know what that is, but there's something about I think Shriya is there. So it's like there's for her to say that no to me, she has no guilt at all. So I know that there is no room for manipulation here as a child. For me, I know that this has been. She said it. She turned. She would go off. She's not there looking at my face for like that, But with my dad, I can easily. My dad is not. He's like that you can work with. That
you can get away with it, or there is a chance.
You can work there and
get something done.
Make him vulnerable like that.
I think as you're
right. So
as you're sharing.
Yeah, go ahead, Malini.
Yeah, as you're sharing this, Rekha, it's coming to me that we also started dishonoring our parents' no's from a very young age, because we didn't know that it's not done. So many times when in English sitcoms I see, go to your room, and the child says, but Papa, I said go, and the child goes. And as you were sharing about your mom, and sometimes, just now what you shared, it came to me that we were really, I don't think that was the way. My mom would go on saying, our parents would go on saying that, no, not this weekend. Maybe the next weekend you have tests, and the tests are important. So your studies are important, but we would dishonor that and still go and then not come back. And in those days, there were this, just the landline, and, they would keep calling from a neighbor's place, and, to come back. But we were such, I think, I don't know what it was, we would not come back. We would dishonor that word of our parents and still be there. And as you said that, I thought that was not done, as kids. It's totally dishonoring another adults.
Yeah, but who mirrors that to the child about the dishonor? The young person really doesn't know how. So that's the boundary, right? So how do you enforce a boundary? Because I feel the boundary is set as the children. Parents mirror boundaries to us. Uh, that allows us to mirror boundaries, because that's our first foundational boundary that we know, and that is good, because when boundaries I feel are there, you feel safe as a child. You know that if I make a mistake, I will be pulled back, or I will be stopped from danger, or because if I was given a free rein, I would be everywhere.
Absolutely.
But you know that this is a no. You know that you will not. Like some no's in my house, like I cannot sleep without brushing at night. I have to brush. This was from sleep. I have been woken up and taken by my mom to the wash,
Yes.
to brush.
Yes.
Like you will be so mad and screaming. There's no
Yeah.
excuse. She will say it very sweetly. She's not even rude. She will say, just take few seconds. That's all. It's all okay. Just come. So but that now is a habit
Yes.
that or making your bed. Some of these knows that you parents hold, and that is one habit. But even I feel emotional, because that's how this is constructive, this is destructive. How do you know that? So I don't know if children dishonor parents or what is that. I don't know. Are they doing, because children really do not want to, unless there's something else going on. But otherwise, you don't know. You know that, yeah, you can patofy the parent later on, muscofy, that. But when you have no room for that, you honor the time.
Yeah.
You honor that,
Yes.
right? But you can muscofy and it'll be all okay.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah, I mean, I've
you
been
know
through
that you
that.
can.
I've been through my strict
Yeah.
no's where I found that it was not taking me anywhere. It was only, making it very difficult for me to navigate around the children. And then I've been really, not weak with the boundaries, and that didn't work either. So now it's like
Yeah.
negotiations. Boundary, but where, but not, some are non-negotiable, where it risks their safety and those things. But otherwise, then there is a two-way communication happening there.
Right.
So that actually helps, to understand. Otherwise, they tend to stop telling us what is happening in their life, and somewhere we get cut
Very
off.
true.
That's what I'm realizing now.
Yeah. How do you? That's as a parent, it's such a fine line.
Yes.
How do you? Because I think we have been speaking about that earlier. Also, no is also about separating out, right? In that moment.
True.
When someone says no to me, in the moment I feel I get pushed back. I get pushed back.
Correct.
But then how do they also include me? Because they didn't push back me actually, but it may feel like that. So how do you bring you back in? So as a parent, I think it's such a dance.
It is, and we are as old as the children as parents. So it's like, we are also learning. We are as old as them.
Yeah.
So it's a constant learning. It's a constant learning curve. Yeah. And with adults, it's a totally different, thing. And even there, I am working on negotiating and renegotiating. And then sometimes this inner talk has to happen within me too. And to come to some sort of a, somewhere something doesn't feel right inside when I say no, and then there is this inner talk which happens. So it's a constant process of learning. So there doesn't seem to be any right or wrong in this, and I think it's each individual's journey about reclaiming their no's.
Right. And even as adults, just because we are adults doesn't mean we are mature. We might still be the same child who feels that I can negotiate this person's
Yeah.
no. So sometimes it's difficult. You meet adults who are still
Sometimes when I'm
children.
saying no and
They're
then
still
people ignore that no, and I'm thinking, what else do I have to say to make them understand the no? Is it not strong enough for them to understand that's a no? Does my
Yeah.
no sound like a yes to them? Sometimes I do wonder because I've had cases where people
Yeah.
feel that the no is not, I don't think she will even say that, she shouldn't be
That
saying
is where
that.
I
Or
absolutely, absolutely. I
Yeah.
think that is where our society, as a, it's a little immature in that way because we haven't
Yeah.
learned our no's, and we each person hasn't learned their no's, and then from the no's, the yeses
Yeah.
aren't clear. So it's very wishy-washy. It's
it
not,
goes
there's
to
no
the image of
clarity.
the
Yeah.
person that they have in mind too, right? I mean, they have an image of this person,
Yeah.
and if that person says no, no, this is not them. I mean, they are not like this. So they shouldn't be saying this. And we get caught
Yeah.
in those images. We've formed an image of that
Correct.
person, and that person says no to you.
Yeah.
So that no sometimes doesn't get honored because that image stays with them. That this person will not say that. So
Yeah.
maybe that is some circumstance which is making them say. So it's not actually a no. So that is how it is actually
Right.
seen. A lot of times, in my own life, I have experienced this.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. People create an idea of who you are, and then they think that you will never say no.
Yes.
Especially in spiritual organizations and things like that, people have this idea that if somebody is a spiritual person and they are spiritual teachers, they will never say no. So it's very interesting, and how, yeah. So as you both are kind of saying that it's every day. It's I think for me, I feel I've discovered most myself through the nose. They have given me so much clarity on my own yes and who I am, and and to claiming myself more and allowing myself more. And is there, do you feel that it is more difficult? Have you observed that as women saying no? Is there a difference in that? Is it more, and I'm sure there are different areas where women find it difficult to say no than men, and there might be areas where men find it difficult to say no, those areas, but yet, just in your own observation, is there a her no and a his no?
There
Are they
is,
perceived differently?
yeah, I think there's certainly, if I can say this, I can certainly, there is a difference, as you said, between a here no and a his no. I'm sure as adults, both of us, both the genders find it difficult to saying no. But in
Yeah,
this context, I I regret that I did not know how to put my foot down or say no. You cannot do this. You are
yeah,
you are someone I look up as a brother, so you
yeah,
cannot be doing this. You cannot touch
yeah,
me in a certain way. You cannot talk to me like that.
yeah,
And not able to voice that, not able to say
yeah,
that has been a point of great anguish with
yeah,
it. And
yeah,
I appreciate mothers like Uttama. Yesterday I was noticing how much today's parents are aware themselves, and they are seeing to it that their children also are equally aware. But if you ask me, I
yeah,
think I have I'm not, my feeling is that of anguish, that I was not able to say no in many places. It took me a very long time. I could have in places I could have said that, no, you cannot,
yeah,
don't. But as most
yeah,
teenagers freeze in that moment, as women, I have even heard
yeah,
60-year-old women being touched
yeah,
inappropriately, and a 60-year-old woman freezing, not able to
yes,
tell her son-in-law that,
yeah,
I've heard this sharing also. But in my own sharing as a
yeah,
first 7-year-old, and then 11-year-old, and then 15-year-old, I could have voiced this,
yeah,
but I did not. because I didn't, maybe I
Yeah,
never saw, there were not good examples. But I also would share that in my workplace, when I came across in mental abuse and physical abuse, I was thrown. I mean, I was, somebody threw papers at me. Uh, I
yeah,
I had the sense to, yes, I retreated into a shell and it was freezing, but then I had the sense to stand up the next day
yeah,
and report this.
yeah,
And it was not okay,
yeah,
that it was not okay. So these have been my experiences, and it in I have seen that in the crucial moments of life where there is
yeah,
a decision to be made, many of us, or I, have said yes only because I didn't know how to say no. Maybe,
yeah,
maybe I have said yes in a
yeah,
lot of places where I was not taught, or I did
yeah,
not know, or the fear factor or the courage
yeah,
factor. Either I don't have
yeah,
courage or there is a lot of fear. Now what
yeah,
if I lose this person? What if they
yeah,
are not even my friend anymore? But that is the loss
yeah,
you have to take as a grown up. You have to understand that you have to let some people go if they are not okay with your nose. This has been
yeah.
my experience. Yeah.
Yeah, it's holding space for what you shared, Malini, because you also kind of I mean, you know that I speak a lot about trauma and trauma awareness and consent, and I feel that to even be able to say no, our own sense of safety has to be really assured. When safety, and especially we know that today research shows that for women, more than 90% of the situations of abuse around body happens through someone that she really trusts or someone close to her. So I feel like in that situation, that the no is in such a state of shock, the fright, fight, flight, freeze. And I think many of us go into
Yeah.
freeze, especially with
Women.
near ones. With a stranger, I feel much more easy to, if I look at my own experience,
Yes.
on public spaces, much more is to stand the ground and slap.
Yes.
But when it is someone in your own family or somebody like that, the shock of uh, that
Yeah.
moment of your consent being violated, like and that itself is so much that, so that's a trauma response. So I don't think there is uh, it happens because for us in that moment feeling safe is more important, and sometimes a no might not, I don't know, it might not lead to safety, or don't know what will happen, what danger happens. And for sometimes the yes brings um, creates safety. And so I don't think when in those scenarios women have to at all feel guilty about not being able to say no, women or men or anyone whose consent is violated. There are certain consents which doesn't need, I feel, no's, that is so obvious of what is not okay, some of these things, but yet they are sometimes violated. And even if sometimes you may say no and still it might not be heard or seen,
Yeah.
and I feel, and that feeling of that you're speaking about, the anguish, since you brought this up, and I feel that sensation can stay for a very long time. That's why we have women after 30 years are now coming and saying, this happened to me, and me too, the whole me too movement, so that no can stay stuck, and the trauma can stay stuck. So I feel like this no is such a powerful gateway that we it opens so many things of even those moments that we were unable to say. So to even to release our own throat and our voice,
I think even saying
to
a no
find our
after
way
so
back.
many years takes a lot of, as you said, safety, right? I mean, you feel safe
Yeah.
to even say that no.
Yes. Yeah, so much. So when someone comes out and says that, they're taking such a huge risk.
Absolutely.
And then how they
How
are
are they
still
received? I
treated?
mean, they're slammed, and
How are they received?
it's just
Yeah.
And you're very
It's
right.
because
so
this
then
whole Me
Uh,
Too movement, I mean, people just slammed the women who came up and said, and
yeah.
yeah,
Why didn't you say then?
yes,
That's not the
that's
question.
not the
You
question.
couldn't say, you freeze.
Yes.
You can't. It is just not
People aren't
possible. And
trauma
then to even
informed.
come even,
Yeah.
as a kid, as a really small child, maybe of 10, hardly 10, we used to travel by bus, and I had a very we all have our, all women have their experiences, all girl childs have their. So I
yes,
remember I could stand my ground very strongly. Somebody
yeah,
came and this falling on you and this. I don't know
Hmm.
how they can
yeah,
do that with small little children, but they do that. So I have even pinched and, really stood my ground.
yeah,
They said that this is
Hmm.
not
yeah,
okay. But the same Malini, the same kid at home with her
yeah,
own people has frozen to death. That,
yeah,
in shock. How did this happen? How did he
yeah,
do this? Is my,
yeah,
like, we are
correct.
blood related. You cannot do that. You cannot
Yeah,
cross that
yeah,
line.
yeah. And I think for a child, that is also becomes a question mark at that point,
Hmm.
does because a blood relation also means it cannot be broken, and the separation is painful for a child, even if it's just brother. There are cases of incest, of parent sexually abusing children. And imagine that for a child. I feel it's so difficult to say no. This is the person who brought you into this world. It is so difficult to stand your ground because this is your nest of safety
Hmm.
at that place. And I feel when something like that happens, it takes immense work afterwards.
Absolutely.
Now we know with trauma that it stays in the body. What you couldn't do then, the helplessness stays as sensations in the body, and in any other situation in a similar way the same sensations can take over. It just happens without thinking. The amygdala and the way the
Then
cortisol and these things are released in the body, it just happens.
the whole
The
nervous
cognition goes
system goes for it.
offline. The whole
Yes.
nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system takes over, and there's nothing you can do. It just happens. And I think that is also a journey of healing.
Hmm.
That so why can't I, even to discover that I cannot say no, I feel there might be so many things. It is just might just be the tip of the iceberg, and to go down and see what is there. Sometimes I feel it's our life's work. And I mean, and there is things from ancestry, and just as women, I feel the collective pain that I mean, you both are part of the
Yes.
work. She stands for projects, that. So I mean, so I think for us to say no is, I think it's a work that we are doing for so many women in our generation, I feel,
Yeah.
who could never say no. If she knew she could say no, I wonder how my grandmother might have chosen her life, or my great, how they would have chosen if they had the possibility of saying no and claiming a life for themselves.
As you're saying,
How
Rekha,
would they
claiming
have
our nose
moved?
is very important, especially with me. I can see my elder daughter not able to say no
Yeah,
because she wants to be nice. Then I could see my own reflection
yeah,
there. So then it makes it more imperative for
yeah,
me to, work on my nose so that, it reflects on her
yeah,
too. I mean, otherwise, I'm not setting a good example there. I mean, not example, but at least she's
yeah,
looking at me and she's learning her nose.
yeah,
So somewhere I have to stand my, work on my nose. Or it's a
yeah,
constant journey. I mean, it's like, they reflect
right,
back, mirroring all the time.
yeah,
And it's not easy.
yeah. And I feel,
Mm.
yeah, it's not easy.
Not
I
easy.
think that is something that everyone has to know that however great the other person is, or everybody will feel the pinch of the no when it is said.
Yes.
How much ever close we are, we understand each other, you've done all the inner work, and even then that is only place. I remember this Gabamate, who is the author of The Body Says No. So he gives this story, I'm just saying it even for those who are watching, So that's when I realized, oh my God, if it is not easy for him who has been seeing for last 50, 60 years clients in trauma, and who has written a book called When the Body Says No. He was talking about, he was returning back after a conference. And it was just 6 years back. He was, I think now he's 76 or 70. So this was when he was 72. So not, he's the same age as my father. So when he was 72, he was coming back from a conference and he landed in Toronto. And his wife was supposed to pick him up. So he landed, so he had gone, it was a long conference, he'd gone for a long time, so jet lag, I don't know, it was Australia or somewhere. He landed at the airport and he called his wife. And he said, where are you? And she said that, can you take a cab? Do you want me to come to pick you up? And just that, she's saying that, it made him so mad, because she said no. And, in that moment, he was so mad. And he said, I realized that this was thinking, he said whatever or something, and he kept the phone down. Then he took a cab, he went home, and he said for 2-3 days, he was in that sulking, and his wife just told him, when are you going to snap out of it? She just said it, and it hit him that, oh my God, what am I doing? So he started exploring that. He was saying that trauma for him was when he was 6 months old, because his mother had to, it was the Holocaust time, and and all the Jewish babies, they were in Germany or Austria, where the mother had to leave him behind for a 6-month-old baby, and she left him with a family to assure his safety, and she went in to find out how she can escape. So if she had died, she would have never come back. So for this child, that rejection still stayed. And he said there was nothing, because his wife is an artist, and when she gets into her painting, she cannot just leave and come. So she's in the zone, and this is a normal thing. He knows that. But in that moment, that trauma got triggered of being rejected. He could have said, oh yeah, you're busy. No, fine. He's an adult, 72 years. He's been catching a cab for all his life, from Toronto to his home. But that day, the trauma got activated. So that's when I realized that, oh my God, you may feel like you've done all the work, and yet there is something still left that you have not met, which needs to be met now. So, I feel like that there's so much in that. So the no can pinch, when otherwise it can pinch. And how do you come back? And what is that mature no when you hear someone say a no, and you can say, okay, I don't like that, but I know that you want this, and it's not about me, it's about you.
Yeah.
Right. So and I think we are I'm just looking at, have we gone through, what would have supported you now as an adult when you look at your life? What would have supported you in having a stronger no? And even now, what is your process of claiming your no and honoring others' no? How do you navigate that on a daily basis? And so one is, what would have supported you to have a stronger no, and the other is, today, how do you navigate that?
I think a feeling of
no
safety,
right
I don't know,
I'm still figuring it
maybe
out,
a feeling of safety. For example, maybe a feeling of safety, feeling safe makes it more easier to say no, or even to say yes. Today, for example, I was traveling and I was not sure whether I'll be on time home to take the live call. Normally, 1 year back, if it was me, I would have been really freaked out, thinking I wouldn't be able to get online. So maybe I should say no. And so many questions would run. But now I know that the space is so safe, and I knew this will happen in whatever way it will. So it was a informed yes. I felt that it will happen, and so there was no
Yeah.
need for me to say no. That kind of that was there. But yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes when I feel I'm not safe, then I think
Yeah.
there, yeah, maybe that's where my no's come, and
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe sometimes it becomes too strong too, because that sense of
Yeah.
not feeling safe might just be another, trigger of the nervous system that I have to work on, or it
Yeah.
can be an actual situation also where, yes, I have to put my boundaries stronger. But what I've realized about boundaries is the more stronger I put my boundaries, the more faster I rub it off. It's like that is what I'm
Oh, can
realizing.
you tell me more about that? What do you mean by that?
No, every time I say that, I'm going to take a hard stand on this, that is when I actually end up,
Yeah.
toppling on the other side. So it's
I
like,
think the guilt
so,
Interesting.
sets
Yeah.
in. Do you think that
maybe,
somewhere the guilt sets in?
Because somebody wrote this that at work it is so difficult. I saw someone's comment. I couldn't see who. Sometimes with these three videos, it's difficult to see the full message. And so it's that at work it is so difficult to say no, and you say a no, and you immediately patch it up with a sorry, or an excuse.
I
You
just saw it in the
justify your
comments, and
no, so
that's
your
so
no is not
true.
standalone.
Yeah, true. That
Yeah,
is that when we say no, we feel so guilty that we end up giving a lot of explanations to why we said the no. So that means the no isn't accepted by
yeah,
even our own self. If the no was accepted
yeah.
by our own self and it's a definitive no, then we wouldn't
Yes, then
have
it's a
this
full
feeling of
stop.
guilty. Yeah.
As
Yeah.
Rekha
So
said, हम सबको ये nice बनने की बीमारी है.
correct.
We all want to be
Absolute.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Yeah, yeah,
everybody
yeah.
goes
वो
on a
हमारे
guilt
लिए
trip.
nice है, and or in India आदियों के लिए they have created this image of the Ram, especially in the Sanatan Hindu culture, Ram. Like if he had said few no's here and there, he would have experienced some joy in his life. And
That
so there is this created who had took on so much, yes, like destroying everything. Everybody around kept collapsing. I mean, I don't want to go there and upset people, but I feel like the role models we have, even Sita is some a character like that. But the question for me is always is, am I choosing the yes? It's not about not being able to say no, but then constantly if we are struggling inside, sometimes you might see women who may seem submissive, in our olden culture or even in villages. You feel like, oh my god, they don't seem like they are listening, but there is no conflict for them inside.
true.
They are doing what they do, and they're not like, oh my god, I should not have done this, why am I listening to this person? They have no conflict. Their yes is so, they are in their yes, and whatever is their narrative, I don't know, will I choose that? No, but there's no conflict. But when there's a conflict, I feel that is where your yeses doesn't have room.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I am. So I'm not, it's this no and yes I'm talking of. I want to keep feeling like clarifying. It's not this rebellion, women empowerment, non-submissive. No, a woman can choose to be submissive.
I think the no
Feminine
that
quality is
you're
submissive.
talking about
That comes
also
from a
has to
strong
involve
space.
compassion.
Yes.
Compassion
Yeah, and a
and a
maturity,
maturity.
and it works for that person. I feel it is so individual.
Yes.
If it
I
works
agree
for
that
you,
to
you are
that.
at peace inside, you're in agreement with your yes, that's fine. You're living your purpose, you're living your this, and nobody can has only we can put on whatever show we have to the world,
Correct.
but only we individually know what's happening inside, right? And I feel it's the choice. I feel a woman has the right to choose whatever she chooses. to be a obedient wife. She can choose that and be 100% that. That's fine. That's her choice, you know. And I feel a woman needs to be honored in that. If it works for her, she's found an agreement with that. But if she has not found an agreement and it's not informed choice, she doesn't know all that else she has.
If it's not informed
Right?
choice, then
I have all these other choices and I'm choosing this. Then it's fine. I mean, it has to be honored, because now I also see women chooses to be a homemaker. You know, she is looked down upon. Oh my God, you have so much talent. Why are you not doing? But she knows and she's choosing this, and that has to be honored. Just like someone choosing to be a CEO, I think. I mean, that's just what I feel.
I think if it's an informed choice, then it comes out, you know, in a much, I think she's more confident, and I don't know, that yes has a power to it. You know, when it is informed, you don't get into that the mode of feeling, you know, like you don't have a choice, or you feel that you've been victimized and all that. So that's a totally different, you know, gateway we are getting into. That's quite powerful.
Yeah.
So but and this no, it's not even in small situations in our life. This seems to be, you know, a constant thing. It is from big decisions to even small decisions. We are navigating our S's and No's on a very regular basis, I feel, you know, on an everyday basis. So, what might seem like a no today might be an yes tomorrow. That's what I'm realizing now.
Yeah.
And it all, because things keep shifting. What I'm understanding about life now more and more is every day, every second is changing, shifting, shaping. So it's like, you know, and we have to work on our boundaries and you know, we'll have to move with it. Otherwise, we are stuck somewhere. I mean, at least in my case, that is what I'm realizing. The constant change and flow which is happening. The minute I kind of, you know, and that's why I said, when I say a very strong no, I kind of see life seems to stop there. You know, the boundary, if I draw it too strong sometimes, what happens is somewhere I actually topple it over to the other side. So somewhere, it's like maybe negotiations. That's where negotiations come into place.
Do you feel in those moments you're informed yes that you want to claim doesn't have enough room? Is that why the no becomes so much more stronger?
Probably.
Does the when
I think
then
it's
the
a
negotiation
self-defense.
comes,
The strong no is actually a self-defense mechanism in my case, where I feel my boundaries are being violated, and if I don't say that no, it will be violated further. So in order to preserve or, you know, conserve that, I try to put on a big, you know, say a big no, but actually inside I might be feeling better if I'm given that space. You know, I might even say yes if I'm given that space. You know, this is something that I'm learning about myself of late.
And even to think of that in a society, if a woman is allowed to make her choice, an informed choice, and to trust her choice of who she wants to be, you know, and even same for anybody, I feel like we feel people cannot choose. So, you know, I know better what is better for you. So and if everyone is, what happens to the no's? How many no's do we have to say in a day? And I really feel if we are saying too many no's in a day, then we have to see, are my yes really honored? What's happening? Can I talk about my yes? You know, this is my yes, and this is how I want my yes to be taken.
Yeah, as you said, our yes is honored. That is something that I need to sit with. Because why do I come up with a strong no in certain circumstances? That means my yes is not honored there. And why is it not honored? So that's a question that I need to sit with. So thank you for that.
And to feel safe.
Yes.
That's again, we come back to that.
Safety,
right?
I think it all comes down to safety. Every time it's to do with safety. even if the mind says something, the body says a different thing altogether. So it's,
Yeah.
so am I able to sit
Yeah.
with that, the sensation in the body, and
Yeah.
the alignment of the mind, body, and
Very true.
everything, total
Yeah,
alignment.
there's so much. When you're aware, there's so much going on,
Yeah, true.
Yeah. And yeah, Malini, I don't think you said, do you have something that you would
Yeah,
like to share?
I think the whole, for me, saying no or saying yes is a part of knowing myself a little more
Yeah.
better. The whole journey
Yeah.
is knowing myself thoroughly enough to be able to
Yeah.
be very clear within. So if I'm unclear, if I'm not myself, I do not know inside what is going on, then I'm going to be as ambiguous as a 2 year old or a 5 year old.
Yeah. Very
But
true.
if I if I'm someone as empowered as I think the most empowered people know themselves a lot. When empowered,
Yeah.
for me, Barkha Dutt comes to my mind when I think about the most people who say yes very strongly and people who say no very strongly. These are the kind of people, or Shobha Day or a
Yeah.
Barkha. For me, these are the examples that I want to look up to
Yeah.
and be able to assert myself. For that, I have to. There is no other way than to acknowledging
Yeah.
that I'm not safe or I am safe or that I seek safety before anything
Yeah.
else. And that is my ultimate goal. And
Yeah.
knowing myself is a journey that I have to undertake, and I
Yeah.
am undertaking that.
Yeah.
And every day I'm trying
Yeah.
to discover what is that no, what is that yes. And it's also about others' boundaries also. If
Right.
I'm crossing somebody
Definitely.
else's, now I'm more aware that I step back and honor theirs and
Yeah.
say that in the same way that I have boundaries, they have boundaries too. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's also a matter of becoming more kinder. Whatever
Yeah.
it is, am I, becoming this bitter person because I had these experiences, or am I becoming this, is that compassion rising in me day by day? Because I've seen
Yeah.
compassionate people, for them it's easier to say a yes, or it is very
Yeah.
clear if they say no.
Right.
And as
Yeah.
you said, it is not a fight. It is not something like
Yeah.
women empowerment means there is a big fight. That I've seen very kind people having very strong boundaries. So I'm
Yeah.
constantly learning from women like you, and there are a few women I know who are extremely kind, but they have very strong boundaries in their life,
Yeah.
and I learned from them.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, you can experience true compassion only if you have very strong boundaries.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You cannot. I feel like I cannot experience compassion at my cost.
yeah,
It cannot. I have to be part of the compassion that I vouch to give to everybody else. I have to be the first recipient, first on the list
Yeah.
for my compassion.
yeah,
Then I can truly experience that, and it's not easy all the time. I feel like I am my worst enemy. Nobody else can do anything to me that that I have not already done to myself, or that awareness, right? So, and it's very true. I think it is our journey of discovering ourselves. I think I'm slowly coming to our closing of a call as well, but that's a great uh, point for us to find. Our closing is also about our own journey of discovering who we are, and I think that is so powerful. I think yeah, that it is discovering my own world within me, and even discovering others' world. I feel for me, it is all here in me. and every day is a new day, and I cannot work with uh, one step fits every movement of mine every day. So that's so yeah. So I'm so grateful to both of you. I think we covered a lot of ground today. Uh, you know, we explored a lot of things today. And is there one thing that you're sitting with that you would like to share as a wisdom, as a tip or a practice that has supported you with the audience? It could be a word, a phrase, a sentence, a quote. It could be anything that you keep going back to
I think
that
it's
supports you
intuition for
to.
me. It's intuition.
Okay.
Always, always listen to that inner voice because
Yeah.
I would say, I say it as if it's not me. I always know within. I always know,
Yeah.
and not listening is I don't know where that stems from. I'm not
Yeah.
listening to my voice, but for me, my one, and if I can be qualified enough to say a tip or an advice to
Yeah.
other women would be always listen to the inner voice. And I see mothers
Yeah.
encouraging this so much today, so I'm very happy about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Honoring our
Yeah.
body and
Thank you
listening to
so
our
much, Malini.
intuition. I think both go hand in hand.
Yeah.
The more we
Yeah.
honor the body, the more the intuition seems to, come to the fore, and
Yep.
that is
Oh,
something I'm
yeah.
discovering. So the minute I actually, and it brings a lot of grounding. So the
True.
more, if I do not honor my body, and the body clearly says no, it cannot take it. It's just that
Right.
the head comes in the way and says, that no can be an head.
Yeah.
It is not.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the minute I honor my body, I
True.
realize my nose are actually nose. It's like
Yeah.
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 then there's no lying. It's
Yeah.
not lying to me. My body is very
Yeah.
clear.
Right.
Yeah.
The
I
intuition
can
Yeah.
is
work around my
guided
head
by
and
the
bring
body.
hundreds of reasons, but this will never lie.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. And I mean, those are the cutting edge trauma work today. Body keeps the
yes,
score, and when the body says no, right? So the
absolutely.
no's that we couldn't say, the body will say. So I think just
Many
going
of the
back,
times we
I
push
think that's a
the
great.
boundaries of the body to kind of, make it
Yeah.
say yes, but that
Yeah.
actually, that doesn't help in the
The
longer run.
price we pay.
Yes,
Yeah, the price our body pays,
it's huge.
the exhaustion that we carry in our body,
Yes,
when we are unable to say no.
yeah.
So I think that's a great wisdom tip for everybody. Tune back into your body and your intuition, your heart, um, and the voice in you which kind of knows and is telling you. And I think that with the body, when you tune both, you kind of meet that. And so, yeah, so I think that's a great point to close. Yeah. Is I think I wrote that today also. No is a felt sense of boundary. It is, it's a felt boundary. And if we can come back to that, and I invite everyone who is listening to tune back into that. And if you have some tips as you listen to our talk and our conversation today, to please share with us, share on the comments. And I'm so grateful to both of you, Malini and Shriya,
Thank
to
you.
for giving me this time. I think it's more than an hour. We have been time zooms past
Yeah.
so quickly.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
should be the ones
So
thanking you because, the safe space, creating a safe space is something I learned from you. And, honoring
thank
that
you,
safe
Shriya.
space. Without that, it's very
Yeah.
difficult to even have this conversation. 1 year back, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have even come online live. That would have been a no for me because I would
Yeah.
have been, I think the fear factor would have been there. I wouldn't have felt safe. But creating that safe space is very
Yeah.
important. And you've
Yeah.
actually clearly, shown us that, and really grateful, Rekha. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
thank you.
I would like to say the same thing. That thank you to you that you've given
thank
us
you,
a
Malini.
place to voice ourselves and really something to reflect upon.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I think that's also one of the needs
Yeah,
of our society and the community and the world today is to create safe spaces
yeah,
which can hold space for our
yeah,
nose, and allow that to be voiced and held and acknowledged without judgment.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So we can meet the yes of the other
yeah.
person. So, yeah, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful, fabulous evening,
Same
and
to you.
the journey continues.
Yes, it
Thank
does.
you.
Right? Yeah.
Thank you.
Blessed
Bye.
be.
Bye, Rekha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. So, friends, that ends our conversation today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, having this conversation. And I'm sitting with, a lot of awareness about many things. And yeah, this daily renewal of no and yes, and in the process, discovering my own self, and grateful to all those people in my life who push me into exploring my yes and my no's, especially my no's. That is where I discover deeper aspects, layers of my own self, my own traumas, my own, early childhood experiences. It supports me to go there. So some of you who even, who mirror that for me, I'm very grateful. And I may not have liked it in those moments, but I feel in hindsight, they are so powerful, and many times people come in our life and they teach us at their own cost. So I want to pause a moment for all those people in my life who have taught me tough lessons at their own cost. Yeah, and the journey continues. Next week, I will be taking this conversation into a more deeper layer, really talking to life coaches, meta coaches, people who work with body and sexuality, and looking at this wisdom of no, and looking at the philosophy of saying no, the boundary of saying no in spaces of leadership and uh, entrepreneurship, sexuality, body, relationships. How do you navigate no, and what tips? So I'll have few guests next week, and yeah, and the week after that, we begin a new theme on consent. We'll be exploring consent and boundaries. Uh, yeah, so thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. Blessed be.